Hello everybody, hello world. I'm going to read a poem today. It's by Clemens Starck. It's his poem, Me and Maloney. This is a poem that was published in 1995 in Journeyman's Wages by Sterling Press, and it's also online. So I'll put a link to it down below or wherever. Here's the poem, Me and Maloney. Job's nearly over. Me and Maloney, all that's left of the crew. Sunk in the hillside, hundreds of tons of reinforced concrete formed in the shape of a drum. 92 feet in diameter, 18 feet deep. It could be a kiva or a hat box, or look from the air like a missile silo. It could be a storage tank for toxic waste. It could be a vault to house the national treasure. In any case, it's finished and ready for backfill. Now it's the Earth's. And I'm left with Maloney, who likes to drink beer after work and tell stories. Construction stories, ex-wife stories. Stories about, stories like how he clubs possums to death with a 2x4 when he finds them prowling in the back of his warehouse at night. He laughs telling stories. Maloney quit drinking once. After a year and 9 months, he decided he'd rather die of alcohol than boredom. I know what he means. I work for Maloney Construction. When it rains, we work in the rain. When it snows, we work in the snow. I'm Maloney's right-hand man. When he laughs, I laugh too. Me and Maloney by Clemens Starck. Wanted to say a couple things about this poem. One of my favorite poems by Clemens Starck, really the one that kind of drew me to his poetry in general. When I heard him read it, and he was a terrific reader of poetry. He passed away a year or two ago now. I find myself in this poem on a personal level. It's got a personal connection to me, specifically because I've been the right-hand man before. I've been that person, sometimes to my own detriment, because I have been a right-hand man to people like this Maloney character. And he's the kind of guy that could probably burn somebody that had worked for him. So, or at least that's, maybe just ask his ex-wife if he burns people. Anyway, that was just a nice introduction to Clem's work, was getting to hear him read this poem. It's kind of a rambling poem, and so people might say, well, what is this thing about? This is the way I look at it, and I could be way off, but this is the way I look at it. This poem has got 7 stanzas in it. It's free verse. None of the stanzas are the same length. None of the lines are the same length, and none of the stanzas are the same length for lines. There's a stanza in here that's 1 line, there's stanzas that are 3 and 2 and 4 and all over the place. So it's very free in that. To me, there are 2 turns in this poem. The first one is kind of like a return, if I could make up a word for this. The first part of this poem is about the construction job that they're on, right? The crew's left, sunk into the hillside, hundreds of tons of reinforced concrete, formed in the shape of a drum. And then he speculates of what it could be. But he never says what it is. So in that, it's a little bit unreliable. Just a little bit unreliable. And that first turn comes when it goes, now it's the earth. You could actually end the poem right there. I don't know why you would, because what comes later is so good. And I'm left with Maloney. That's where it turns. And now we're talking about Maloney. So first we're talking about the thing that they built that they don't say what it is. And now we talk about Maloney, who is also unreliable. He's drinking beer after work. He's telling stories about his ex-wife and how he clubs possums to death with a 2x4. And then we learn, that he quit drinking, but he'd rather die of alcohol than boredom. Okay. That's the kind of guy that Maloney's like. The last stanza, this is a poem called Me and Maloney. This is the me part. This is the part of the part that has the eyes in it. I know what he means. I work for Maloney Construction. When it rains, we work in the rain. When it snows, we work in the snow. I'm Maloney's right-hand man. When he laughs, I laugh too. That's the kind of a right-hand man Maloney needs. Somebody who is reliable. That's the reliable part. So here's a story from my history, I guess. We opened the store, Harbor Freight Tool Store in Salem. I was the assistant manager to a guy by the name of Mike Layton. Mike was great. He was not Maloney. Mike was super. He had been a manager at a Kmart store in back east someplace, or several Kmart stores. And he was just a terrific guy. He had all kinds of great ideas. Retail was his calling. And he liked to talk to people. He was a people person. He loved to talk to people. He'd talk to you all day if you let him. And so I was his assistant manager. And I realized early on that I was the heavy. I was the heavy. If you could believe that. And so, I was different back then. It was a long time ago. And we were under the gun clockwise. We had to clean up this retail space. We had to get a floor down. We had to get the fixtures built and the inventory in place. And so we were still in that very early part. This is like the second day on the job of getting the store up. And it was, lunch hour was over. It was about 10 minutes later. Mike was out there talking to the crew. They were kind of like, ha, 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 and that kind of stuff. And I walked out of the office and I looked at the workers and they all scattered to go to work because I was the heavy. But you need somebody like that. Maloney needs somebody who is steady, who is reliable. And me and Maloney, the I person here, is the steady hand here. Let's talk about that last stanza. I know what he means. I wonder if he does. Maloney would rather die of alcohol than boredom. I know what he means. You don't know how long this person has been Maloney's right-hand man. So if he'd been his right-hand man more than a year and 9 months, then he would have known what it was like when he was drinking, and he would know what it was like when he wasn't. And so I don't know which one he prefers. So maybe that's a little bit unreliable, but it could be, you know, when he laughed, the last line, when he laughs, I laugh too. When he laughs, I laugh too, is what right-hand men do, which is you polish the person that you're working for. You compliment them. You compliment them and you compliment them. You compliment them in that you, when they tell a story, you laugh, and you also compliment them. You complete what they do. Anyway, I love that. Final stanza. It's just super. I was going to add like a little, like, workshop-y element to these. And that is, for this poem specifically, Maloney and Me, in any Clem Starck poem, Clem wrote in his head. And he would work things over in his mind over a course of days or even weeks, driving back and forth to work or at work or doing whatever it was that he did. And then he would write it down. And it would be done. So it's a very different way of composing. I just write stuff down and then kind of like try to fix it. But he fixed it all in his head and then just wrote it down. So if you're going to write, I wouldn't try to write anything as long as this. But give it a try. Compose in your head and then write it down. Maybe only like a 5-line poem. That's all I could remember. My memory's shot. Anyway, we'll see you next time.